Good morning, students. My name is Mandeep Singh, and I'm your SST teacher. And I hope you all are fine and stay blessed. And it is a humble request to stay at home due to the disease, disease COVID-19. Right. So now I'm going to explain this lecture on the topic of rise of Christianity. This is the first chapter of history subject of 7th class. So, firstly, before starting of this chapter, we need to understand the classification of history. So, history is divided into three parts. First is ancient period, second is medieval period, and third is modern period. About the ancient period, you have learned in the previous grade, and about the modern period you will learn in the next grade, it means in the 8th class. But in this grade you will focus on medieval period. Okay, so before starting this lesson, we need to learn about the meaning of the medieval period. If you will know about this, the meaning of medieval, then it is quite easy for you to learn this chapter. Okay, firstly, this word is originated from Latin language. Okay, this word originated from Latin language word medium evam. So medieval word is originated from Latin language the word medium evam. So it means that related to middle age. So what is the meaning of medieval India medieval word? So the meaning of the medieval word is related to middle age. Okay, so now next, after this I hope you have you understood the meaning of medieval. So now the starting of the medieval period is quite different in the separate corners of the world. Like if we are compare the starting of medieval period of Europe to the in India, it is quite different, right? In Europe, it starts from 5th century and with the fall of Western Roman Empire. So Roman Empire is the biggest empire in the history of Europe. When it started to fall, so that time there was a rise of the medieval period in Europe. But on the other hand, we are seeing that it ends at 15th century. It starts in 5th century in Europe and ends at 15th century. So that time, that period is best known for the rise of Renaissance and age of discovery. Because in this period, there were number of discoveries made by the people. Okay, in the different fields such as in agriculture, in industrialization, etc. Okay, so as I earlier told that this is quite different the starting of medieval period in Europe as compared to in India. So look at the dates. It starts in Europe 5th century, but it starts in India 8th century, but it ends in 15th century in Europe. Okay, but in 8 it ends at 18th century in India. So we can say that there is a 3 years gap between the starting and the ending of medieval period in both Europe as well as in India. Okay, and don't be confused about it. So now next, this is the starting of the medieval period. Now we will learn about the medieval period in India. Okay, so in India, medieval period, it starts from 8th century to the 18th century, right? So it means that it is also known as a post classical era, right? This name has given to this period by the World School of History, and all historians from the different corners of the world also using this term for medieval period. Okay, but in India it is divided into two parts, right? First is early medieval period and second is late medieval period. Okay, so in early medieval period starts from 8th century to the 13th century, and in this period from 8th to 13th century, in this we can see the rise of regional powers. So regional powers were the Hindu kingdoms. So most of the famous regional powers were there. Rajputs, Jadavas also were there, Pratihas also were there. But in South India, there was the kingdom of Cholas. Okay, so these one thing to remember is that these all kingdoms or regional powers were Hindu kingdoms. Okay, but on the other hand, late medieval period. On the other hand, late medieval period. Okay, it starts from 13th century. When early medieval period ends at 13th century, then it starts in a 13th century. Okay, and lasts to 18th century. So it starts from 13th century and ends at 18th century. Okay, so in this period we can see the rise of Delhi Sultanate as well as the Mughals, because the both kingdoms were Muslim kingdoms. Okay, so you need to remember one thing in your mind, that these both kingdoms were Muslim kingdoms, and these were Hindu kingdoms. Okay, if anyone is asked from you that what is the main feature of early medieval period, you can say that it starts from 8th century and ends at 13th century. But in this period we can see the rise of the regional powers such as Hindu kingdoms like Rajputs, Jadavas and Pratihas. Okay, but if someone is talking about you the late medieval period, you can say that it starts from 13th century and ends at 18th century. So in this period you can see the rise of Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal Empire. Okay, so like in Mughal Empire you already know that Akbar is the main king of the Mughal Empire. Okay, so now this is the partition of medieval period in the Indian history, and now we will learn about the advent of Christianity. Advent means arrival of Christianity. Okay, when it has arrived, who was responsible for the advent of Christianity, right? So this religion was founded by Jesus. Okay, this religion was founded by Jesus and founded in early first century. It means the early years of the first century. Okay, so students, there are number of reasons behind the advent or the arrival of new religion, such as some social reasons are there, such as some political reasons are there. Okay, so now we will learn about the Roman invention of Palestine, because this is directly connected to the religion of a Christian. Okay, so now, yes. So firstly we will learn about the Palestine. Palestine is the homeland of Jews. Jews is such a community such as Sikhs, Hindu, Muslims, etc. Okay, they worshipped only God Yahweh, and the community followed him. Right, but in the mid first century, please remember this carefully. In the mid first century, right? Romans invaded Palestine, but in the same century, in the early years of this century, Christian religion has introduced. Okay, so when Roman invaded Palestine, they wanted only one thing from the side of Jews. They wanted that Jews should worship not their god Yahweh, but they should worship their emperor Herod. I have written their Herod in little spells. Okay, so they oppressed the Jewish community. Okay, so after that invaded Palestine, and they started to oppress the Jews in Israel. Okay, according to, but there is a one belief of Jews in their scriptures. The name of the scripture is the Old Testament. Okay, according to these scriptures, only Jesus or Christ would release them from the oppression of Romans. Okay, only Jesus will help them to release them from the oppression of Romans, because Romans already invaded Palestine and they started to oppress the Jewish community. Okay, so this is the invention of Palestine by the Romans, and now we will learn about the birth and life of Jesus. Okay, so birth. So he was born in 4 BC and born in Bethlehem in Judea, and his mother name is Mary. Okay, so now Mary's husband was Joseph. Okay, and he was a carpenter. After born, he was raised in Nazareth in Israel. Okay, Nazareth in Israel, right? So this is the birth of the Jesus. Now life. Okay, so in his life we will learn firstly about the knowledge, how much knowledge he had. He learned Jewish scriptures. Okay, he learned Jewish scriptures, the whole holy grants he learned in his life. When he turned to age of 30, when he turned to age of 30, he was baptized by his cousin John. Okay, his cousin John. So baptized means this is the one I can say method adopted in the Christian religion, and it is symbolizing purification and regeneration of one person's soul, and then it allows that person to the Christian church. Okay, so after that, divine revelation. It is quietly said by the community that divine revelation asked the Jesus to protect people from evil forces, as well as to show the path of love to the people, right? So the divine revelation said to the Jesus that you are only the one person who can protect the people from the evil forces or from the bad works or from the oppression of other communities, right? And you are the only person which can said to the people that who can said to the people that to walk on the path of love, and it really help you and really create strong connections between the people, right? So after that, he is all it is also believed by the people that he was the son of God, right? Only the son of God helped them. So that's why the Jesus this is the only one person who can help the people to protect from the evil forces and show them the path of love, right? So students, I hope you really understand this lecture by this video, and I'm very glad to provide this lecture to you, right? And I hope you will learn something new from this video, and if you are not understanding any part, then please watch this video again and again. And one assignment also will be given to you, and this will uploaded on the school app, and from there you can print it and solve according to this lecture, right? And thank you so much for cooperation, and I hope you will understand it in easy way. And please stay at home and stay blessed due to the disease of COVID-19. Thank you so much.